Hello, thanks for joining me. I hope you're doing great today. In this video, we're going to explore the glow brush. The glow brush is a very special brush in Corel Painter. It's located in the effects category, and what it does is it really just kind of makes things look like they're glowing. It is kind of a brush that gives you effects that would look something similar to, beams of light or lightning bolts or light rays. What it is essentially is a brush that builds up very bright at the center, and then the brightness kind of starts to saturate and turn into color. So there's kind of a color fall off. And depending on how you set your color here, you're going to get some different results with the brush. So right now, I'm kind of at this maximum saturation point here, and I'm getting this really nice bright color halo. And then the white builds up slowly. You don't really want the white to build up too fast sometimes. And you get this nice corona or halo. If I set the setting too bright somewhere over here, you'll see that it just kind of turns white instantly, and there's barely any color in the corona at all. And you might want that effect and you might not. If we set it over here kind of dark, and we try a setting or a sample, we'll get something like this where it takes even longer to build up and you get some different results. So really, depending on where you pick your color from, you can get a lot of different results from this glow brush. And you really just kind of have to experiment and see what works. Generally speaking, you probably want to pick from somewhere in this area, from the mid-tones down kind of into the dark area, because again, this light area up here tends to just kind of get really washed out quickly, and so you won't get any of this color. So now that we know how it works and what it does, let's look at how to use it. So what you want to do is you want to make a new layer, unless you're just working on a single layer, but I recommend that since you can use layers, you might as well put them to use. And once you have your new layer created, you'll want to make it a blend mode of screen here in your composite method. And what that will do is that will just make your glow blend with the background better. It'll lighten more naturally. So right now this is set to screen, but if we set it to normal, you'll see that if you look really closely, right around here on the edge, it's kind of darkening it, versus if we set it to screen, it's lightening. So you can also really get a good idea of this if I move this around. It's blending lighter with everything that's behind it. Now it looks kind of like some weird ghost floating around here. But we can use it in a more practical way. Let's say, for instance, here I want to make a bunch of light rays zinging out from this point here, this hole in the trees. I'm just going to sample a color, maybe something like this, and tweak it just a little bit. And let's do a test sample and see if we like this color that we get. So first of all, I want there to be a really big, wide glow. So I'm going to make a really big brush, and I'm just going to kind of wiggle around. And what I'm doing, I'll exaggerate here. I'm doing kind of these little tight winding circles. I'm doing it with a big brush. And then we got some kind of glow there. And then with a smaller brush, I'm pulling down really quickly, just making really long strokes here. And you can get some light rays, and you can see that looks really cool. You can use a even smaller brush. And then if we need to, we can blend it. I think it could use a little blending. And I'll blend with the direction that the light's going. And you can see we have a really, really amazing looking light spot. Now, you could do this with other brushes. Of course, I could get this same effect essentially by just using a regular layer if I needed to, and all that, but it would just be take a lot more effort, and it just wouldn't look as cool. So this glow brush will really save you some time to accomplish some of these effects. However, if you don't pick the right settings, you're going to have some trouble. If I try to do this same thing with just a color like this that's really light, you'll see it just doesn't look as natural because there's no color in this light here. So using it properly will really make a difference. I find generally if you want a big glowing area, you want to use a really big brush. So about as big as you can get. And then if you want little light beams, then you want to use a thinner brush. We'll move forward a little bit and look at some other things we can do. So I'm going to make a new layer here. And let's just name some of our layers so that we know what they are. Let's take a look at how we can make fire with the glow brush. We're going to set our blend mode to screen. Pick a fire color here. Take the glow brush and let's set this tree on fire here. So we'll make some kind of ember areas in this little glowing spot here. And then over that whole thing we'll put nice big glow. And we'll draw on some actual flames. And we'll do these flames on a separate layer too. We'll make that a screen blend mode because I think there's something I'm going to want to do to these flames to make them look a little more realistic here. We'll use the Turbulence Distortion brush. That'll kind of help make it look more like flames there on the tree. Maybe we'll do that to our bottom layer a little bit too. And we'll go back to this layer here. Maybe we'll put some little embers that are coming off of it. That'll kind of help it look a little more natural. And you could even put some smoke too if you wanted to on a new layer. Of course, we'll want it to be maybe more like that color. There you go, you got your fire. Let's trash some of these examples here. Let's take a look at this painting, by the way. What I'm showing you is these are kind of intermediate versions of a painting that I completed. I show it in another video, but this is kind of midway through it being completed, so there's some stuff that I added in the final piece that I removed here that I'm just going to repaint just to give you a feel of how we can do this. So besides fire and the light, we could do highlights. So for instance, on this person's sword here, if we wanted to make it look like it was shining, we could put a glow like that, and I'll show you how I did that. Let's get the glow brush and pick a color. I think I used something about like this. In this case, I didn't want there to be too much color because the sword is just metallic, so I didn't use very much. And I'm just kind of lightly painting over it in some spots to give it a nice shine and glow. And you could do that pretty much anywhere you wanted to. It could really enhance his armor and make it look more shiny. A little shine spot on the earring and on the gauntlet here. You could just use it as highlights too if you wanted to do some shading. You could do the hair, give it some more depth and dimension. Same thing with the outfit here. So it works actually really well just for rendering, for drawing shapes too. Let's take a look at doing something like a lightning bolt. So I'm going to go to this layer here and turn these on, and I'll just kind of show you what it will look like here. Let's see. Let's to redo this bolt, and I'll show you how I did that. So taking the glow brush, I'm on a screen layer here. I'm going to take a pretty saturated but darker color, something like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of lightly trace an outline that I can follow. And then what you want to do is you want to build up this color. And what I mean by build up is you're going to keep going over it, and it's going to gradually get lighter and lighter. And you can increase your brush size as you go over it, and that'll start to give it kind of a glow. But you want to be careful not to build up too fast, or it's gonna reach its maximum point and it's gonna be white. You can see here it's kind of capping out. So again, you really have to kind of experiment with this brush. It makes things easy, but you still have to kind of know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to get unexpected results. And then I'm kind of making some little extra things coming off of this lightning bolt to make it look more realistic. And you could have some little sparks coming off of it and different things to help that look more realistic. Again, if you want to blend, you can blend. And you could add, you could even add other colors to it if you think that, makes it look more interesting. I'm going to do some pretty crazy stuff with this brush. And this, girl over here, if I wanted to give her some kind of mystical glowing claws or something, then maybe she's punching this guy and he's getting some weird energy or something. This is the kind of stuff you see in these kind of video games. This, by the way, is a piece of fan art from a game called Secret of Mana for Super Nintendo that I used to play when I was younger. You can do some kind of like light trail things and lasers. Those are pretty easy to do too. But again, you gotta watch out for that buildup, because if you try to do this stuff with the wrong color, as I mentioned before, it just gets white too fast and then it doesn't look good. And if it has too much color, sometimes that doesn't work either. So you really kind of have to try to find the right setting here in your color picker. So finally, the one thing I want to show you that could be very helpful is I'm going to make a new canvas here. It doesn't really matter what size because it's just an example. I'm going to make a dark background, and I'm going to put in a little bit of lighter color so there's something going on here. The glow brush works really, really well for stars. So we'll take the glow brush, and I'm going to put in some little stars here and there, and I'm varying my brush size here and there. You can see you get some really good results. We'll zoom in a little bit to these. You could do some things like that. Sometimes stars have that little light rays in and out of them. Typically, I wouldn't go through and paint a million stars like this. I would use a brush that sprays out stars, and then I would go over them and enhance them. Like this way, for instance, using a pepper spray brush. And I would just go through and just highlight a few to make them pop out. That tends to work pretty well. And of course you want to vary your color here and there because not all of the stars are the same color. But you get the idea there. You can even make some planets and suns too if you wanted to. So give this brush a try, It's definitely a really fun, very useful brush. I've got it saved here in my palette because I use it a lot. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found this information useful, take a quick second to share this video or like it on YouTube, and that'll just make it easier for other artists out there to find this information. Stay tuned for my next video, and thanks for watching.